Depression, suicidal thoughts, and various other mental issues is a prominent issue for men. However, it is often brushed over due to stigmas and toxic masculinity. I want you to think for a minute of what the symptoms of depression are to your knowledge. Then ask yourself if you attach those with a specific sex. Then think about the stereotyped traits of men or how they show or don't show emotion, or more controversially, how society forces them to channel their feelings. Let me guess. To you, depression is loss of interest, sleeping a lot, closing out family members, self-harm, or being quiet and without energy. And many, if not most of you, probably immediately think of women having these symptoms, and you guess men can have them too, but they don't even have depression as much as women. Then lastly, if you think of dominant male traits, perhaps aggression, drinking, physical work, and things along those come to mind. You're probably thinking, yeah, that's just how men act a lot, when in reality, those very traits may be symptoms of depression or general distress in males. Around depression in males, there exist many misconceptions. Olive, a researcher in masculinity, says, the ways in which men embody depression in their everyday lives, such as anger, isolation, and autonomy around self-management practices and risky self-care practices such as alcohol and drug use, may lead to symptoms of depression being interpreted as expressions of masculine ideals. These masculine ideals he talks about are traits perpetuated by society and expected of many boys since birth. While many girls are nurtured to be emotionally sensitive, boys are told not to cry or that being mean is a way to express positive feelings. As a whole, there already exists stigma around mental health, such as it being a danger to people, but men specifically have their own social stigma around mental health and its treatment. Lots of people believe that men's masculinity is based on strength, and to many, strength means one is independent and doesn't require help. It means that if a man is ever emotional, it is strong to control the emotion as vulnerability is seen as weak. This applies to depression because men who think they are depressed will associate that with weakness or being a women thing. Then they never seek help and the condition only worsens and they act more and more volatile. Another issue is men don't even realize how depression looks in males because society teaches it to be an illness where people feel empty and constantly sad. However, men can feel angry, act aggressively, develop emotional detachment, withdraw from peers and become standoffish, and develop substance use with depression. However, they don't realize that as depression. A Canadian survey determined men's literacy and mental health to be lower than women's, as seen in this graphic. Overall, men misinterpret what symptoms signify depression, which leads to the fact that men are Studies done by Engar Carlson and Kaselika implemented behavior-changing techniques to rewire men's brain to accept that seeking help is good. They concluded that targeting adaptive masculine stereotypes such as responsibility and reframing help-seeking to align with male values, example, a sign of strength, may have contributed to an improvement in help-seeking behaviors. Men were inspired to look after themselves and came to realize asking for help doesn't define one's masculinity nor is weakening. Also, Real Men, Real Depression did an intervention by creating male-specific brochures to improve men's attitude toward seeking help and decrease their self-stigma associated with seeking help. Men and displayed significant improvement in their help-seeking mindset, hence making me wonder how beneficial this would be for younger children. It is known that young minds in the development stage are more open-minded, and during that time, personalities, ideals, and beliefs come distinct. So it only makes sense that showing young boys it is normal to feel negative emotions and that seeking help is commendable and an act of strength would encourage higher emotional stability and literacy as they continue to grow and experience. I also noticed many studies didn't address how to solve the root issue of stigma in men's mental health, that being toxic masculine ideals. Thus, I propose to work on dispelling hegemonic masculine expectations from a young age so that all genders can grow up with healthy self-care, mental health awareness, and overall be more mentally intelligent with their health, no matter what stereotypes their daily environment may encourage. To do this, I suggest a method based on increasing conceptions and knowledge of mental health from a young age by improving health classes in all K-12 schools to teach kids proper self-care for better mental stability and inform them true symptoms of common mental disorders or illnesses and differentiating male and female symptoms when needed, as well as how to help those struggling around you. This wouldn't be just a one-time class, rather it be a semester-long class taken every grade school year that mixes mental health with physical health. It is crucial that instructors properly train the children to be accepting and non-judging and encourage vulnerability from everybody, teaching them that asking for help, even for small things, is more than okay. Since young children's minds are most malleable and retain new information learned then for a longer time, it is beneficial to begin the process of destroying unhealthy hegemonic masculine stereotypes that may be pushed onto younger boys and establish mental health literacy and self-awareness from an age where it'll stay with them. That way, the increased amount of suicides in men and the high number of men who avoid seeking mental health treatment may be avoided. As seen in this graphic, mental disorders begin to form from a young age and only stabilize the more they age. However, teaching how to see mental illness in your peers, yourself, and how to deal with it or talk to people about it will help guarantee that children don't become one of the many who don't seek help. It will create a generation more self-aware with more ways to take care of themselves and more open to their emotions no matter their identities. Then, hopefully stats like the ones shown on the screen can be lessened consistently. Literacy in mental health is the beginning step to help people recover from these issues. Since my proposal is that mental health teaching should be a requirement in grade school, it is given that parents and school board officials will argue that it's not within the budget or that it isn't within the school to teach that, and that their kids don't need frivolous things like that, and it's insensitive of the school to barge into personal things. However, isn't the purpose of school to prepare children for life and make them well-rounded, knowledgeable citizens? In order to do that, taking care of one's mental health is crucial if you want to be a functioning person in society. And is money really prioritized over saving the lives of upcoming generations? Health classes like sex ed already lack for teaching children proper care, and this lack of consistency must be addressed, strengthened, and changed. Whether parents like it or not, statistics show that people with depression, suicidal thoughts, and other mental disorders are growing exponentially. Mental illness is a global pandemic that isn't being addressed, and I'm sure the most efficient way to fix this problem is to begin from a young age. To make it a requirement to know how to take care of your mental state and to be aware of other emotions around you. No matter what, it'll be a method of trial and error to determine what children learn best, like if it's having speakers, video-based education, doing exercises, being urged to talk about feelings every day, journaling, and more. However, putting effort into the process and seeing it through is more than worth it if it helps our next generations become happier and healthier. Overall, by teaching proper mental health care in an accepting and open setting without using women-specific lessons is the perfect way to wire children's brain to be more aware of all types of people and help them make their own choices without the interference of parents that could enforce harmful stereotypes. If younger children are taught unbiased facts that don't encourage toxic socialized stereotypes, it'll raise generations that have more open outlooks on mental health. Hopefully then, it'll foster healthier mindsets. Every year, depression, suicide, and other disorders skyrocket, so it's undeniable that society is doing something wrong.